So we sometimes get asked why the adhesive has been separated from the liner. This can happen for many different reasons. If temperature changes, if it's been sitting in a box for long periods of time inactive, being rolled up really tight, the thinner vinyl might separate from the liner, as you can see here. And you can see there's a lot of different ripples going on the front side of this, and if you pull it back, you can actually see it on the adhesive side too. So now, if installed correctly, this is still perfectly good vinyl, and you're just going to want to make sure that we use the right squeegee pattern to make sure we're pushing the air the right way and not go against it and increase the actual vinyl. To install it, first you're going to want to find the right positioning. So if I was to do this for accuracy, I would measure down from the ceiling down and mark 2 points that I'm going to line up the top edge, or you can do it from the bottom, however you want to position your graphic on the wall. And now that we have it in position, we're going to want to create a hinge. That way we can install one side and then remove that hinge and install the other side. I'm going to go ahead and double up the tape here just because this painter's tape's a little lightweight and it's not going to hold as well as some other types of tape. So now that I have the hinge, we can go ahead and release this side. And as you can see, there's our tunneling that the adhesive slipped off of the liner. This could also happen from if someone released the adhesive from the liner and then laid it back down and rolled it up again tight. That's always going to happen. So with scissors or a blade, you're going to want to go ahead and just cut this side of the liner paper. You want to make sure that you do not tear that, because a lot of the fibers and paper material from the liner will stick to the adhesive when we come down and lay down this right side of the graphic. So now to begin the install of this side, you're going to want to get it as close as you can. With the second person, it's a lot easier to hold it just an inch off the wall and nice and tight, so you see a nice flat surface on the vinyl. But a single person, just come in from the center. As soon as you make contact with the wall, you can see right there. Now you just want to come up at a 45-degree angle and just start from the center out 45-degree angles. Now I'm coming up to one of the tunneled sections here. As long as I'm coming in like this at a 45, I'll push that right out. Go ahead and end it right here. A lot of times I'll just pull it from the center, and then as I'm working my way up, you're going to want to push down this way rather than pushing the vinyl up. That way any slack is just going to come down here, just like that. Same with this way. And now we got one side installed. Go ahead and release the hinge. So now we have our hinge released. A couple different ways you could do this. If you're going long distances, you could mark a reference point as a registration and just kind of lightly score that tape so that way it's separated. And then when we release the liner, you can use this as a registration and bring it back and make sure you're on as you're applying the graphic. Or you could use a second person and they can hold that over there and pull this liner as you're installing it. For this case, I'm just going to pull back the liner and hold it right here at the edge. Kind of get to my registration so I know I'm on. And that liner is actually keeping it off the wall right now because it's folded over. So now I can come in, start doing the 45s. to make sure that you're not pushing down. You just want to make sure it's always at an angle. Before I get to the end here, I'm just going to remove this tape. That way it doesn't get covered up by any vinyl if there's a little bit of stretch coming this way. So this is all pressure sensitive vinyl, so if you see anything immediately within the next 5 to 10 minutes like bubbling up, just push down harder with the squeegee. It's going to activate the adhesive and let it fully get a bond with the wall. And as you can see, I can't see any visible lines where the tunneling was happening off of the liner, and it's perfectly good vinyl. That was a vertical hinge that we used to install a right side and a left side. If we were to actually want to do that the opposite way and create a horizontal hinge, if our graphic was taller than it was wide, I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. So there's a couple different ways we could do this. We could do exactly what we did with that vertical hinge, but create a horizontal one, apply the top half, squeegee 45s this way, and then release that hinge and do the 45s on the way down. Or there's a fast way to do vertical prints. So we can go ahead and pull back the liner. Just expose about 10 inches. Go ahead and just crease the liner. Now with that exposed, we can go ahead and get our positioning. If you want to be accurate, you can make your measurements and mark it with tape and line up your edge. And so now that I have that kind of where I want it, you want to lock the hinge. So now we're locked right there, and that's going to act as our hinge, and we can just start pulling the liner down. But first I got to install the rest of this. Come up, 45s. Now go ahead and start releasing this about a foot at a time. And our Genius vinyl being very repositionable on most surfaces, go ahead and just pull this. I want to move it. And this should reposition multiple times on standard drywall. Certain surfaces you might encounter some kind of stretch or any, it might, at long periods of time, it might be a little bit more difficult to remove. But for the most part, most wall surfaces, the Genius vinyl is very repositionable. You can still see after that was removed, I still have all those tunneling lines. Show you again real quick that those go away. Create a hinge. So there's our hinge. Right there. close-up real quick of the actual install so you can see that there's no lines, and if there are, it's because I didn't push down hard enough right here. Push all this out. And this is a very low tack vinyl, so any high tack vinyl is going to stick even stronger.